The games industry elephant? Oh, she's talking about the size of the average gamer.
When I started playing video games, it was a fun pastime where you connected with family and friends. Game developers were passionate. They put their heart and soul into their games because they knew if they could land a hit, they could do it again. Sometimes this is called the pinball motivation. Opinions about games were freely shared, and everyone enjoyed the discussion. After all, it's just games.
It's
Sadly,
just a game.
This is not the world we live in today. Gaming is surrounded by division and acrimony.
The funny thing about this is the same with movies, TV shows, games. The problem is that I think somewhere around in like the 2010s, people decided to really go super heavy into taking media and then using media as a vehicle to push a message. And I think it happened everywhere. I think the only exception of that not being true is with music.
Your opinions
I think music, especially music, has always been kind of like that.
Flashpoint. So how did we get here? How did a fun hobby get surrounded by so much anger? Let's talk about the elephant in the room. I love making games. I love game developers. I love playing games. I want the industry to thrive. And in some ways, the industry is okay. I hate
video games.
There are many games that are doing just fine.
Yeah.
But as many of you have pointed out, we also have a culture
war
in
the clip.
Raging around gaming, and it's destroying some of our favorite franchises and studios. There are several reasons we are here today, and like many things, what you'll find at the heart is a series of small steps by good people with a few bad actors mixed in. If you look back in gaming history, you will find that controversial content is not new. Games have always had strong narratives. This is because
people used to always cry about this shit. Back in the day, it was Grand Theft Auto, Metal Gear Solid. Some people were unhappy about that. The thing is with Metal Gear Solid, I think a lot of people didn't really understand it. And it's easy to see Grand Theft Auto fuck a hooker, kill the hooker, run somebody over in a car while you're driving away from the police, right? Okay, easy to understand. Metal Gear Solid, much more complex. Mortal Kombat, yep, there you go.
Start as ideas that are eventually translated into digital form. Teams start by gathering reference material from the world around them to help define what is in their mind. They pull from the lore of a franchise, sometimes history, current events, movies, other games.
Or they just make it the fuck up.
Games are creative dialogue on what has been and what might be. And reference material has a narrative. Yeah. It has a perspective. It's easy to see this if you read a history book, because you will hear wildly different opinions on what happened based on where you grew up. Game developers naturally end up exploring themes and ideas based...
Back in the South, my dad told me that, just a sec, he's actually called, the fuck? But yeah, my dad told me that, like, growing up, he grew up in Florida back in the day, and you know what they called the Civil War? They call it the War of Northern Aggression. It's just the way it is.
Based on what inspires them. And I would argue that's a good thing. Developers should be exploring and innovating, but they need to understand where they are. They need to understand their risk. Because even though strong narratives in games hasn't changed, what appeals to the broadest audience possible has narrowed. It's easy to alienate large groups of people if expectations aren't met. And this is what I think
this has always been the case. There's always been games that people didn't like because of the way that, like, certain characters were portrayed, or they just weren't fans of, like, the type of game it was. It's nothing new. I actually think that the success formula for making a video game hasn't really changed that much at all. I feel like, again, it's just people don't want to see... They don't want to see, like, modern, like, social issues be put into a game, I think. There's a lot of people that just don't want to see that.
Happened with Dragon Age. Yeah. They made an expensive game that didn't appeal to a large part of their current fan base. Yeah. That means they lost sales, and now they have to go out and acquire new fans if they want to make their money back, or at least make enough money so that EA lets them make another game. For me, it's been interesting to watch this change in the industry. Game publishers used to put in extra effort to avoid offending people. They wanted to make games that would appeal to the broadest possible audience.
Yep.
Microsoft, for example, was very risk averse. I remember when Terminal Reality was doing the second version of their game Fury Cubed, and they wanted to call it Hellbender. Well, marketing was upset. They were worried that putting the word hell in the name of a game next to the Microsoft logo.
I'm telling you guys, the 90s were a different fucking time. People think it was not like that, but it fucking was. Yep. Totally different. Family values.
The brand.
Yep.
And so that team had to go to Bill Gates in order to get approval. I experienced this caution personally when I was producing the game Fighter Ace. I was asked to demo it at a Microsoft shareholders meeting. During rehearsal, I said that I was going to jump in the game and shoot down some people. Everyone freaked out. The executives thought that language was too edgy for Microsoft shareholders, and instead they asked me to say I was shooting at targets.
We really need to get away from curating everything to the biggest retard imaginable. We really need to move away from that. Please, can we stop curating everything for the most annoying, least honest, stupidest person there and just ignore them? So dehumanizing them is a solution? Absolutely, they're retards. You shouldn't take them seriously. You just don't even think about them.
Then there was that time we were in the final days of making Deadly Tide, and someone noticed there was a problem. You see, if you slow this down and you look closely, you'll find that New Zealand was just left off the world map. Of course, Microsoft New Zealand noticed and asked us.
I totally noticed that because I totally know where New Zealand is.
To fix the problem.
Yeah.
But after a lengthy discussion, the team decided to pass. They didn't think people would notice, and if they did, Microsoft could just tell them it's sunk in this fictional world. There was also that time when all the Microsoft distributors in Turkey
Pretty good way to say
it. Were arrested because Encarta 95 had released with a map that included an area for Kurdistan. That one did.
That's bad. Ooh, big mistake. Uh-oh.
Get fixed.
Yeah.
Of course, Microsoft was a good company. They didn't want people getting arrested.
Right.
And they knew they couldn't expect game developers to be well-versed in geopolitical issues.
Yeah, of course.
So they started hiring. They hired a group of localizers and created an entire group to help the product teams be sensitive to those issues.
Of course.
You couldn't have a game developer putting the Microsoft brand at risk. After having those experiences, I'm baffled about some of the things I'm seeing today. Did any of the executives at Ubisoft question whether or not doing Assassin's Creed Shadows was a good idea? I've been
a game where black people massacre Japanese people. It's so good. Yeah, I could see how people wouldn't really like that too much. Yeah, for sure. They don't care. Yeah, that's basically
Japan
it.
Many times. I've worked with Namco as the producer on Revenge of Arcade, and during Xbox, I managed a team there. I love the people and the culture, and based on that experience, I would never have agreed to do this game because even if you handled it as delicately as possible, it's easy to make a mistake. And I think they have. The game isn't even out, and it's already mired in controversy, and this isn't what you want for your game. Maybe it'll blow up.
Yeah, the thing is that when a game, like, have we had a game that had a bunch of really negative controversy and it turned out that it was really good? I feel like that doesn't really happen. Like, usually when a game has a bunch of negative controversy and no, I'm talking about real controversy, not the media pretending like there's a problem. Like the people, Hogwarts Legacy, that was not real controversy. That was a handful of retards on Twitter. Nobody really cared about that. No.
Over and they'll be able to navigate this. But if not, that was a very expensive experiment. I had a similar situation when I was in the final months of shipping Crimson Skies. One of the teams pitched a game that was like Sonic, but instead of a hedgehog as the main character, they wanted it to be a totem pole.
I think this level's
a few
in Sonic
of us
too.
playfully nicknamed him Tommy. The pitch was great. The game sounded like it would be a lot of fun, but I said pass. You see, there is symbolic meaning behind totem poles, and even with good intentions and great care, I wasn't convinced we could navigate that complexity. Also, Xbox was just kicking off, and we had more than enough on our plate.
I think that this is the truth, is that people, the only people that perceive any form of like real cultural disrespect are people that are looking for it. And I think that if you just try to make a game and you do so in a way that's not trying to caricature, it's not trying to demonize or illegitimize or just in one way or another disrespect that culture, I think that there probably are always going to be like little inconsistencies where it's like this could be offensive to some group of people. But really, I mean, I think people give you the benefit of the doubt. I think they'll be like, oh, yeah, for sure they're going to say this, but it's not that big of a deal. The key phrase is good faith. Yeah, exactly.
Need to take on more risk. It's funny because I thought everyone was in agreement, but when I went to work on Xbox full time, I found out that the team went ahead and spent thousands of dollars to further investigate the idea and decided it was too risky. I wasn't.
See, the entire idea of it being too risky, and is that Rod Ferguson? Wait, I think it actually is. Because, yeah, he ran... That's Gears of... Oh my fucking God.
Upset about the differing opinions regarding direction. Good teams disagree all the time.
Yeah, sure.
But when the decision is made, they get back to work. And if they can't, well, they need to leave the team.
That's right.
We called it disagree, but commit. Of course, not everyone followed the principle, but those were the expectations.
Duh.
In fact, I remember when I was in the final stages of shipping Gears of War, we had one leader that didn't think the game was going to be successful, and he was going around to the team and telling them that we were doomed to fail.
Why would you do that? Like, I'm sorry, but if you're in a leadership position, you don't do that. Even if it's true, because it stresses everybody out. You just kill morale, you depress everybody, no one wins. What is this? Yes, it's a doomsayer. Like, that's the worst thing to do.
Several
toxic
problems
management.
With this
it
situation.
is.
The first is that all of our data showed that Gears was definitely going to do well if we could finish the game at decent quality.
Yeah.
Reviewers loved it, external play testers loved it, the test team loved playing it. All signs were good. The second issue was that he was killing morale. At the end of Gears, several of the people on my team left their families and temporarily relocated to North Carolina to help the game ship. It is really difficult to be away from your family and trying to finish the game and have someone telling you.
You've got the guy that's in charge of you be like, yeah, bro, keep working. No, it's going to suck. No, it's just a waste of time. We're going to get shut down after this. No, keep going. Keep going. No, it's okay. It's okay. No. Yeah, try it again. But do your best. It's like, yeah, the ship's sinking. No, it's going to, yeah, we're going to die. Yeah, no, but make sure to keep doing it.
That you're doomed to fail. And the last issue is that he was showing poor leadership.
Exactly.
When you are leaders on a team, you go to a room, you hash out your disagreements, and then you try to leave those disagreements in the room. You try to bring a united front out to the team.
Dude, this is the nastiest fucking Mean Girls thing that you can possibly do. You get outvoted in the team leadership meeting, and then you go and sow discord in the employees. Like, oh, well, I tried to stop them, but they wanted to do this. Like, what is wrong with you? It's the most toxic thing that you can possibly do.
One day I get a call from Epic because someone on my team is actually there and crying in the hallway.
Good.
And this is why, because this person is being so divisive.
Get him out of here.
It turns out that he'd had a disagreement with someone on the team at Epic, and he was upset with them. He couldn't let it go. And he wanted me to remove that person from the team.
Jesus.
Of course, there are situations where it would have made sense to have that conversation, but wounded feelings this close to ship wasn't one of those. I also explained a hard truth that management would likely replace everybody on our team before they would replace Epic. You see, they were the creators. They were the talent. We were important, but we were there to support them. And that made us...
People don't like to hear that because of their ego. People hate to hear that, you know, you're not the star of the show. See, these people are such pussies, man. Game developers are the biggest babies ever. I don't think that's true. I think this is what people do in general, and game developers are unfortunately people.
More expendable. I was trying to be honest with him and help him see the situation.
It's like, this is the reality. Yeah, it's like you're not nobody. We replace you in a day, right? You don't tell people this, but like if they're gonna put it on the line, you've got to make sure that they're aware of this. Yeah.
Situation, but it didn't work. He continued with his negativity, but he just hid it better. He also added me to his list of complaints. It's kind of funny how I found out that he was still mad. I have this weird habit that drives people crazy. I tend to fidget when I'm thinking. If I have a pen in my hand, I'll click it. If I have the mouse in my hand, I'll click on the screen. I'll highlight text. I'll unhighlight it. Well, one day I was reading an email from him, clicking away, highlighting random text, and I saw that there was a paragraph of invisible text at the bottom. It was invisible because it was white text on a white background. Of course, it was mean and it hurt my feelings, but I didn't get mad at him. I empathized with him.
I wouldn't get mad at him either. I would at that point, I would never be allowed to be, I would never get mad at that person ever again. Because you don't really get mad at a little kid whenever it does something stupid. It knocks over a drink. It's just a stupid kid. Like, I would be like, okay, there's something wrong with this person. Yeah, there's something wrong. And like, I would feel bad for them. Yeah, this person is probably 30 years old, at least. Could have been 45 years old doing this. Who does this? This is her story. I bet the real story is completely different. Oh, because women lie. That's true. That's right. They lie about everything. That's why they wear makeup. You're right. Good point.
No, sometimes it's really hard to control your emotions. So instead of grabbing that ball of anger and sending it right back at him, I decided to let it go. That said, I didn't drop the issue, which was his destruction of team morale.
And also, by the way, people like that, you do have to get rid of them. Like, for example, like I would immediately go and say like, hey, listen, like I would talk to HR, I would talk to my boss, be like, this is really weird. This is like, you know, a list of things this person's doing. You need to, like, in my opinion, is a kill or be killed situation. Because people like that, once a person demonstrates unreasonable, illogical, bad behavior, I try to isolate them and remove them from my life. Because at that point, I can no longer predict what this person is going to do. And that's unsettling to me. And I don't want to be around a person like that. That's it. And you can't always do this, right? You have a family member that's like this. It's harder to do that. But in cases like a job, if I can, I would immediately get rid of that.
Let my personal hurt go and instead focus my energy on supporting the team and the game. I decided to show him through my actions a better way to lead. I feel
big
fortunate.
Mistake. He will work behind the scenes to destroy you in every way. The only way that you can solve this problem is by destroying him. That's it. There's no happy ending where he gets along. This is a irrational person that probably has a legitimate mental problem. And you get him the fuck out of your life. Because if you don't, they're going to do the same thing to you. That's it. Destroy them? Absolutely. And do it and realize that you are doing everyone else around you a favor. Like you are doing the best thing that you possibly can do for the most people. Like the goat? Yes, exactly. Like the goat. For the greater good. Kill Willie the goat for the greater good. That's exactly what I meant.
That social media wasn't a thing
Doing a public
then.
service? Yes, you
I
are.
would have been devastated if he had taken his feelings publicly, which is what appears to have happened recently at Obsidian. If you haven't heard, the art director of the game Avowed, which is set to ship early next year, decided to post some comments publicly about his game. Apparently, there are pronouns in the game, and Elon Musk reacted on X saying that having pronouns in a fantasy video game is utterly unacceptable.
Yep.
To which the art director responded, "I wanted so badly to make him mad with my game, and I cannot believe it actually happened."
This is like pinnacle cuck behavior. Massive cuck behavior. Who does this? Who talks like this? Who thinks like this? And I bet, so this is one thing again with people like this, is that they are childish, vitriolic, obnoxious, rude, and stupid. I bet that this person is probably completely insufferable to be around. And I bet there's probably 5 or 6 different manifestations of this bad behavior that's negatively affected other people around them. Like the moment I see, this is a policy that I have. People that have problems are problems. And there's people like this guy that constantly have problems. There are people in the world that try to find the good and bad situations, and people in the world that try to find the bad and good situations. And the latter will ruin your fucking life. They create their own problems. Yes, I know. And disagree. Everyone has problems. Yes. But those problems are their problems, and this person makes his problems everyone else's as well. That's the difference. Yeah, don't you express your problems to the world as you see it every day? Yeah, sure. It's my stream, right? Sure. Totally different dynamic. Artificial problems, yeah. Pronouns belong in fantasy games because they are, fantasy. Oh my God. Wow. God. Damn.
Just wait until you see the default "you said little shit." I personally find this situation baffling. Does he know Elon personally? Why does he want to make Elon mad with his game? Why would you say this to someone who is easily one of the most...
Because he's an obnoxious retard. It's really not that complicated.
...controversial people on the planet, and therefore has millions of people reading his posts. This interaction may be the one impression that people will ever have of the game Avowed.
Yeah.
To be clear, I'm fine if Elon ends up not buying it.
I'm going to be honest, boys. I got to say it. Somebody's got to say it. You know what these game designs remind me of? You know what game they remind me of? Yeah, everybody knows.
Not buying it. That's his choice.
Man.
What I'm not fine with is a leader putting his team and game at risk. And this is where social media comes in.
Yep.
At any point, you can read something, get offended.
I really, really appreciate her saying that, because people don't put enough emphasis on the damage that you can do to other people when you entangle them into a problem like this. Because now he's politicized the game. He's put his own brand of politics on it, and he is now attached to it. And he's basically done that to everybody else too. That's the issue. And he's done that without their consent, and he's put them all at risk.
And with one emotional outburst online, you can change your game's momentum.
Yep.
You can ruin years of a team's work. Of course, Avowed is likely going to be review bombed. There are plenty of people that are more than happy to join in the fight. Avowed is now mired in controversy.
That's right.
And when they launch, they will have to overcome this situation. And that's the tragedy, because it sounds like it might be a great game. And it's heartbreaking to think that it may never get a chance. I feel sorry for the team that's working on the game. Because
I do. I feel so. Imagine this guy, all you want to do is just make a video game and focus on your game and just do your best. And you have this guy that's conscripting you into a culture war out of fucking nowhere. It's crazy. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. No, it is. Like, you think about it from their perspective. And you have to take it one step farther, right? Because when this person conscripts them into this war that they've decided to make everybody fight on their behalf, what they also do is they put everybody else's job at risk. Like, every person who doesn't buy that game puts that company more, because of his actions, puts that company more at risk of being downsized, having layoffs, or being closed entirely. And there is a breaking point where that happens. It's disrespectful. Well, yeah. And so all those people, right? All those people get totally fucked. There's a place to express your opinion, and putting others at risk is not one of them. Yeah, exactly. It's industry-wide. Yes. And so that's what happens with the rest of it. Do you know the actual opinions of the rest of the studio? I think that a lot of people in the studio might agree with him, but they might not want to have that opinion made public. But he forced them into that position. And it puts their job at risk.
Having all of this going on while you're trying to final a game,
yeah,
it's not fun.
So it turns out that not only will I be the one who will know as first which game wins tonight, but I actually also know which game is going to win next year, the year after, and the year after. Now, how do I know this? Well, an oracle told me. She said, change is coming.
If you're wondering why I'm optimistic, it's because I believe in people. I think that there are only
people like that Avowed guy. They naturally select themselves. After this game probably doesn't sell well and there's a ton of negative controversy, this guy will have a harder time in the industry and getting a job for the rest of his life. This will negatively affect him for the rest of his life. And you know what I think? Good. You get what you fucking deserve. That's what happens. Over a tweet is crazy. It's not over a tweet. It's over the game, and then the tweet reinforces the reason why people don't like the content in the game. There are plenty of developers that say stupid shit on Twitter all the time, and nobody really cares because the games are good. Nobody gives a shit. But when the game itself is being used as a vehicle for that mindset, then it becomes an issue. The harsh truth is they fail upwards. I don't think that happens. I really don't. And I think also the truth is that people have the power to make that not happen. You do. Everybody does. Collectively, they do. So if you don't like it, then push back against it. That's it. He sent a message. It doesn't matter how. Yeah, he does. Remember Velma and Rings of Power? Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the people that, like, here's the thing is that, here's actually a great example. Do you remember all of the women that did Ghostbusters 2016? You don't see them around anymore, do you? That's it. They're done. Like, people have a bad role like that? Or Kathleen Kennedy? Oh, I don't know about her. Exactly, yeah. It totally can destroy your career.
Few people who are causing this divisiveness. It is not the majority. Most people want things to be better. And so they will be.
Yeah, that was the year it happened.
And I believe we will eat that elephant together, one bite at a time.
Yeah. They knew that if you put the game and the team first, the revenue will follow. They were driven by idealism and wanted players to have fun. And they realized that if the developers didn't have fun, nobody was going to have any fun. They understood the value of respect, that if they treated their developers and players well, those same developers and players would forgive them when things didn't go as planned. Yeah. But above all, they cared about their game because they loved games.
Well, these people
and the game of the year is...
They love congratulating themselves for having the right opinions.
Astrobot!
Man. Wow. Biggest Rob in history. Man. The Sony Game Awards this year were crazy, huh? Man, that's gonna be, yeah, wow. Sony Game Awards went hard this year. Wukong Game of the Year. Everybody knows Wukong won. But yeah, anyway, so who's Executive Bloke who's showing the video sabotaging the... She's not going to say who it is. I mean, she's not going to say exactly. I mean, of course not, right? And you're a legend. You put this issue wonderfully. Yeah, and I think that a lot of people don't understand how much collateral damage they create by using like whatever art they have or they're part of as like a vehicle for them to push like the way that they see the world, right? This is a huge issue. This is such a great video, by the way. What a good video. I'll link it to you guys. I've never watched the video by her before. Laura Fryer. And yeah, there you go. Give it a like. That was great. Yeah, good video. Absolutely, man. Show the crying Wukong devs. It makes my dick hard. I can't because it didn't happen. People went back and reevaluated and looked at the footage again. It didn't happen. Yeah, so like so what were you watching that got you hard then? What were you doing? Because it wasn't that. Yeah. What were you doing? Maybe you're just playing Black Myth Wukong, you know? Like, hey, right? I mean, look. It's a weird guy, right? I mean, people are going to be into what they like, right? That's it. And wow. And man, crying gets more. Yeah, I guess so, right? And anyway, yeah, no, I think that really, again, people need to realize that like when you're working on a big team on something like this, you do actually affect other people with your words and actions. So yeah, I think so. Probably watch Concord Dev. Yeah. Probably jerked off to Concord characters. Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Avowed, I am going to play Avowed the day it comes out. I'll even try to get early access. I really do my best to try to give these games a fair shake. And I, in fact, believe that my reception of Dragon Age the Veilguard was the most, I mean, as always, right? Was the most fair, least biased, and most objective perspective to have. You were fair, and I'm fair every time. Whether it's right or wrong or anything else in between. Did you finish Veilguard? No, I didn't. I almost did, and I just haven't played it because I've been playing other things instead. That's it. I admire your honesty. Yes, I really do try to be honest with all of this stuff. I try harder than anything else. You almost liked it at one point. There are things about the game that I like. I think that the talent tree system and the character building system is good. Everything else is kind of mediocre. But yeah, I would say that part of the game is good. Anyway, I think Avowed could still... You think Avowed could be good? I don't know if Avowed could be good. I really don't. But, I just, yeah. Again, I mean, if it's good, I will be playing it, I will be showing it, and you guys will have an idea, right? You'll know, and there it is. But, you know, we'll see what happens. I really don't know. I think it probably won't happen. Like, I actually think that it's going to just be worse, and it's going to be a worse version of like Skyrim. It's going to have, I think it's going to have a lot of the problems. It's going to have a convergence of the problems of Veilguard and Concord, where it looks visually unappealing, and the gameplay is also very rudimentary and boring. And I think it's also like, you're going to see a lot of people glazing the game, but I don't think that it's accurate. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second.